They say time changes everything, but it's not true. Time doesn't fix what's broken, it just reveals who's still pretending. My ex-wife came back thinking I still missed her. She showed up at my door on a Sunday afternoon like nothing had happened, wearing that same confident smile she used to weaponize when she wanted control. "You look good," she said, her tone soft, careful, rehearsed. I told her I was fine, that life had been quiet. She glanced around my house like she was touring her own memories. Same man, new walls, no trace of her. She didn't know that peace had replaced her perfume long ago. I'd built a life that didn't need her noise anymore, and the last person she expected to see in it was my sister Emma. Rachel and I had been married 5 years. It was love at first, or what I thought was love. She loved the spotlight. I loved her enough to stand behind it. Our marriage looked perfect from the outside. Dinners, laughter, curated smiles, but inside, it was theater. Everything had to orbit her. Her career, her friends, her image. When I stopped playing the audience, she found a new show. She confessed the affair herself, proud of her honesty. As if betrayal becomes noble when announced. She wanted freedom, so I gave her all of it. I didn't beg, didn't shout, didn't chase. I just let go. The months after the divorce were quiet. Painful at first, then strangely peaceful. I stopped explaining myself to people who never listened. Emma was the one who kept me together. My younger sister, calm and steady, always had a way of turning pain into perspective. She'd come over after work, tidy up, make coffee, sit beside me without forcing words. "One day," she said, "you'll thank her for leaving." I didn't believe her then, but I do now. When Rachel reappeared, she pretended it was coincidence. "I was nearby," she said. Lie. She had heard I'd bought a house near the coast, that I was painting again, that I'd found peace. She hated that word, peace, because it didn't need her. I invited her in, mostly out of curiosity. She looked around and frowned slightly, realizing there was no trace of her influence left. "It's different," she said. "It's mine," I replied. We sat across from each other like old actors running through lines of a play we both knew too well. She tried to sound casual, but her eyes kept searching the room for some version of herself. "Are you seeing anyone?" she asked. "No," I said. She smiled, relieved, mistaking solitude for longing. That's when I realized she hadn't changed. She just missed being the center. Then came the sound that shifted everything. A knock at the door. Emma. She had groceries in her hands, hair tied back, calm as ever. She froze when she saw Rachel, then smiled politely. "Didn't expect to see you here," she said, walking past her into the kitchen. Rachel followed her with her eyes, trying to read the room. "I just came to talk," she said quickly. Emma's voice was steady. "About what? The past you burned or the man you left behind?" Rachel flinched. "Wow," she said, forcing a laugh. "Still protective, huh?" Emma didn't move. "Still honest," she replied. The tension was heavy but clean, the kind that exposes truth. Rachel turned to me, half smiling, half scolding. "You're really letting her talk to me like that?" I said. "She's just saying what I stopped saying." That's when Emma stepped closer, put her hand gently on my shoulder, and said, "You don't owe her anything, Noah. Not your anger, not your silence. It wasn't dramatic, it was simple, grounding. But the moment was enough." Rachel's expression cracked. "You and her?" she asked quietly, her tone shifting from curiosity to accusation. The truth, there was no affair, but there was understanding. Emma had seen me at my lowest and never once made me feel small. She didn't try to fix me. She just stood beside me until I remembered who I was. That kind of loyalty terrifies people like Rachel. She mistook our bond for betrayal because she couldn't comprehend a connection that didn't revolve around desire. Rachel tried to regain control. "So this is your revenge?" she asked. I shook my head. "No, this is growth. Revenge still needs you to matter." She went quiet then, looking around again, realizing every piece of her had been erased. Not by hatred, but by healing. "You've changed," she said. "That's what healing looks like." Emma answered for me. Rachel's eyes softened, maybe with regret, maybe pride. "You really don't miss me," she said. I looked at her and told the truth. "I remember you." "That's not the same." She nodded slowly, tears forming but never falling. Then, as if to reclaim some dignity, she said, "I'm glad you're doing well." She meant it halfway. Emma grabbed her grocery bag, glanced at me with a small smile, and said, "Text me when you're done here." Then she walked out, steady, unbothered, radiant, in her quiet strength. Rachel watched her leave. I watched Rachel watching her. That silence said more than any argument ever could. For the first time since I'd known her, Rachel looked uncertain, like she didn't recognize her own story anymore. "She really cares about you," she whispered. "She always did," I said. Rachel nodded, eyes glassy. "Goodbye, Noah." It wasn't bitter, just final. I opened the door for her, and she stepped out without looking back. When the door clicked shut, I didn't feel anger or victory, just calm. The kind of silence that doesn't ache anymore. She came back thinking I still missed her, but what she didn't understand was that missing someone ends the day you find peace in their absence. Emma walked out smiling that day, not because she'd won, but because I finally had.